tonight we have a full panel. We have Ibner Dioposu, we have Dr. Renee Tengela, and then Victoria Falk. And so each one, we're going to be discussing how the pandemic has changed our relationship, personal and professional. But I wanted to start with Evelt to share a little bit about himself, but also share your favorite quote to get us started with the conversation. And as you're responding, each one of you can just say a little more about yourself in terms of whether it's what you do and then how the pandemic has personally affected your relationship. And so, Evelt, let's hear from you in terms of your work, but also that magical quote that you have about relationship.
Wow, good evening, everyone. Dr. Renee, Yvonne, Dr. Marie, and Victoria. It is my greatest pleasure, and I am really beyond myself to, to sit with such a panel. Well, my name is Evelt Vertil, and I'm a life empowerment coach. Do specialize in relationship. Well, how did I become a relationship coach? How do I specialize in it? Well, I'm going to make that really short. It's based on experience in my own upbringing and my immediate family. It's really what inspires me to become a coach. And to begin with, in life, I truly believe and I'm convinced that everything falls and rise on relationships. And there's a famous author and really speaker and someone whom I admire a whole lot, and it's Bell Hooks. And she said that love is not simply a feeling. And with that said, back to you, Dr. Murray.
Thank you. I love that quote. So love is an action, never simply a feeling. And it's just a reminder because a lot of time we're in a culture where it's always about the feeling, the romance and all that stuff. So I'm just happy to sort of see a new way of looking at love. We also have Judith Francois, who is a children's book author, joining us tonight. So truly a full panel with so many questions for you, Eval, to get to answer those questions. And so who wants to respond to that quote in terms of everything rises and falls with relationship? Everything. So I'm gonna put it on the screen so you can see it. Don't be shy now. Don't be shy now. You all, I know you have questions.
Yes,
Everything rises and falls on relationship. Okay, you can see it now. Everything. Do you agree?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to agree with you. When we think about our friendships, our work, our businesses, who do we do business with? People we know, we like, we trust. So it all falls down to the relationships, and the strength of your relationship determines how well you're going to behave in different situations. Being able to survive, being able to thrive, and that support. So I definitely agree with that in all different aspects of life.
I agree.
I love that. Dr. Renee, I'm gonna turn into a teacher. I'm gonna channel you and ask the teacher, do you agree or disagree with this quote?
Absolutely. Everything rises and falls on relationships. Relationship. I think the most important relationship is the relationship that you have with yourself, right? So I think that if we are strong and secure and we love ourselves, I think that that really helps us in our relationships with other people, whether it be a mate or your child or whoever you are having contact with. I think the first and most important relationship is your relationship with yourself. So absolutely.
We love it. Even there, don't be quiet. Thoughts?
Absolutely, I agree 1,000% that everything falls and rise on relationship. If you look at professionally, for example, the people that
Mhm.
you surround yourself with, if you surround yourself with people who choose to be lazy, and people who choose not to do anything constructive in their lives. And these are the people that you hang out with every single day. And the relationship that you build with them is that relationship that you're going to carry forward in your life. And it's that same relationship that's going to turn into a curse. But if you, on the contrary, have relationship, you surround yourself with really positive people, with hardworking people, people who hustle and grind and execute their goals and dreams and aspiration. In that case, you will more likely to do the same thing, to act the same way, because this is the air that you breathe in your surrounding. So I agree with that quote, Mr. Evelt.
Wow,
Thank
it's almost
you.
like those relationships are contagious. Like you become who you spend time with, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Um, Judith, any thoughts?
Look like you're on mute, Judith.
All right, so she may have to change something on her end. So let us know when that's resolved. But I love the start of that because I think sometimes we really underestimate how much relationship does play a role on on everything. Like we think it's a little bit on this, or sometimes we focus on
Mhm.
primarily all personal. But it's really everything. Say something. Oh, she's back again. So it's really everything, every aspect, and everyone we encounter, that's going to have an impact. But as we were preparing for this, I realized in a way none of us ever imagined the pandemic, right? And
Mhm.
whether we want to admit it or not, the pandemic has changed our relationship, good, bad, and making us almost like revisiting our relationships in a way, right? I don't know if anyone want to share, either if you want to share anything what you've heard from people in terms of how the pandemic has shifted their relationships, whether personal or professional.
Uh, well, the pandemic really changed a lot of things, especially relationships. And there was really a study done. They realized that domestic violence went up 87%. And why? That's the question. It is because people in relationships never get to spend that much time together. So basically, when we are on the go, you come in and I'm leaving back and forth. So we never got that opportunity. And when you're in a relationship with someone, it's not everything that you subconsciously really living by the partner experience. So now we got to sit down almost 24/7 under the same roof and we see all of the stuff, the trauma, the unresolved issues, the anger, the stuff that you never got a chance to experience from that partner. And when those things start coming up, you realize that, oh my goodness, this is not the person whom I met. This is not the person whom I married. And you think it's a stranger and it's the same person. Just because now we have time to really experience and see through one another. So at the same time, there are relationships that get better. Why? It's because now you can be present to your partner. You can sit down, look into the eyes of your partner to be intimate. Because most of the time, when we're talking about intimacy, intimacy literally means intimacy. Got to see into you, be into you, be present, to listen, to really to get a heartbeat, to look in you in the eyes. Sometimes you speak to me with your eyes, or you speak to me in a way with a breath, so I can enjoy, I can understand that, and it get better. You say, wow, oh my God, I never knew that was there. Right, Dr. Rene? You Dr. Rene is Dr. is smiling already. So that's the thing that the pandemic, has done. So there's a lot of fight because just because most of those relationships that been, that trigger violence, it's because they didn't start on the right track. It was like really something that you were, that was based on the feeling, so to speak, like Bell would say. Anything that starts with a feeling and stay within the feeling, it has a tendency to weigh out, and that's gonna go for a train wreck.
Thanks, Evelt. I mean, that's so much in terms of, I was telling someone, even with the new numbers, how the number have increased with domestic violence, it's almost like a pre-existing condition because those numbers were already going up, and I think the pandemic aggravated everything. Like everything that was already on the brink just got worse with those. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's the same symptoms that we were already dealing with and they were never dealt with, and now the idea that there was nowhere to go, right? We couldn't really escape to work.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't escape to a restaurant. We couldn't go to friends. And so we were literally trapped, particularly women trapped in our homes and couldn't go anywhere, right? And so I'm hoping others will share more. Welcome back, Judith. I'm hoping you can speak.
Hi. Okay, it works now. Hi, everybody.
So glad to see you. So we are discussing developers, but also sharing how the pandemic has shifted relationship. I don't know, Renee, you were like all in with what Eva was saying. So do you want to respond to anything he said? You might be muted.
They're gonna get me on this, but it's been. Uh-oh. For 12 years, I have background noise. Can y'all hear it? Y'all can hear it.
All right, so we may have to wait until we figure out why we're getting the background noise and come back.
Yeah.
Dr. Renee, I don't know why we're getting that noise. But yes, so let's check in with Judith, who has joined us, and share a little bit in terms of how have you seen that the pandemic has shifted relationship personally, and what have you heard from friends and others around you in terms of how they've been affected by the pandemic.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. Yeah, so regarding the quote, what I wanted to say is like I agree with everybody. And also there's a reason why like many there's the famous saying that everybody many cultures have that says that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So it just shows how important relationships are because, you know, the right people can, um, to help you go farther in life and accomplish more things. So relationships are definitely absolutely very important. Um, and from the pandemic, what I've heard from friends about relationship and even some family is that it's hard. First of all, that's the number one thing that I've heard. Like because a lot of people, friends and stuff that I know, they're single, and so it's been extremely hard for them during the pandemic, trying to meet someone, trying to date, and so it's not really so much fun, but it's also um, a lot of time, especially me. It's a time where we can take to focus on ourselves and focus on doing things that we thought we didn't have time for, but now we do. So we can. I know I've accomplished more, and I'm very like became more focused, and I'm glad for that. So that has been my experience so far when it comes to relationships during the pandemic. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Judith. Welcome back, Dr. Renee. I'm hoping technical issue resolved. I mean, each group is so interesting, like whether you're single, regardless of your status, right? Like we almost in this, I think there's a word for it. I don't know if it's in limbo or something. There's a new word to describe like how we
Mm.
feeling with this. And I don't know, Dr. Renee, did you want to try and see if you want to add more? It is like, nope, we are not doing it. Victoria, let me go to Victoria while we try to work with.
Yes, yes. Well, definitely, I've noticed changes in relationships in all the different types of relationships. I mean, as far as my business friends and the network, I found that during the pandemic, we really relied on each other more, and supported one another and bartered and a lot more reaching out to ask, well, how are you doing?
Mm,
So we have relationships with people where, when they say, well, how are you feeling? And that quick answer, fine, oh, I'm good, just touching the surface. But during the pandemic, is I've noticed more people to really take the time to see, no, really, how are you? Tell me what's going on. What can I do for you? So that's been really nice. As far as romantic relationships, I'm realizing my own relationship and with other friends, what you hear is that people really questioning, am I getting what I need in this relationship? Something about the pandemic with people knowing that, you know, life can be here today and gone, another day. It's let me spend my time in a positive way. Let me spend my time in a way that's going to be fruitful. And is this person I'm spending time with someone that is giving me what I need, and is this a quality relationship? So you had a lot of people rethinking their partners during this time, myself included, because if I could take my last breath, I don't know when, do I want to waste it hanging out with this one right here? Or can I be doing something better? So the same way people have been walking out of their jobs, resigning, they've been resigning from the relationships too.
mm. The great resignation from jobs and relationships. So, any
Yes.
response from the coach in terms of that? Like, are we seeing more of that great exit voluntarily or perhaps consciously removing ourselves from these relationships or uncoupling, whether they are friendships or other type of relationships? Coach Evelt, are you seeing more of that in terms of people saying, you know what, I'm done? I tried. Or
Uh,
perhaps like people are reevaluating what type of relationships they actually want.
well, this is a really a powerful um, point that you and Victoria just touched. In a lot of intimate relationship or romantic relationship, people have a tendency to reevaluate or really want to move on. Just to the fact that Victoria says a keyword right there. Do I get what I need from that relationship? That is so key, even in a job. Because here's what's going on. Here's the key. When we start when we start courtship, okay, we start with the chemistry, we start with the feelings. Then we hope that possibly transition to something better. However, in the very first phase of the courtship, which is the feeling, the chemistry, we stay right there. We never go beyond that. So we might say, for instance, based on what Hollywood say or whoever say what sexy is or what good looking is, how heavy, how thin, whatever the case may be, if we rely on that to find the one that we need, this is we're gonna make very poor choices. So in the beginning, we may get what we want, and what you want gonna last probably 3 to 6 months, six
Mm.
months. But because you get what you want, that guy you wanted, all right, you got him, and very soon you're gonna realize what you need, he doesn't got it. He doesn't provide that. And in so many times, there was already a kid involved, and we get so deep into it, now we get stuck. So a lot of people whom I coach, I got clients, and sometimes it's too bad. That's why they're evaluating. And at that point, the intimacy is long gone. We're just here. There's nothing, there's no erotism, there's nothing going on. Why? Because what you wanted is phasing out, but what you need, which is the key, because love is not enough to sustain a relationship. Because what sustains a genuine relationship is knowledge. And we're going to expand on that.
This is part one of the master class. Okay, this is
Can
like,
can you can you hear me?
yes, we
Yes.
can.
So thank you, Evelt, because it's true. It is. We have to think. We got to know clearly what we need, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of times we think we need this other person. We need this other person to fulfill us, or this other person to show us love. This other person to give us things that we didn't get as a child. And a lot of times we're recreating these scenarios in our life, but we haven't worked on us. And I think that one very important thing is knowing who you are, and just in between. Sometimes we just go from relationship to relationship, and I've been married for 12 years. Um, but I was with him for the 10 before. So it's been like 22 almost. Feels like I think it is, but it's been a long time. And yes, there's been ups and downs and all arounds. But one of the things that I'm learning to do is know exactly what I want. Like, what are the things that light me up? What are the things that I need in my space? And how the pandemic really made me focus on that was, all the time I had was the time, I was working, but also I was at home the whole time. Just so all I had was my circle here. I couldn't go out, not as much as I wanted. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. So I had to focus on myself for a minute and see what are the things that you want to do, what are the things that you like to do. Just kind of, as even though we were emerged, I had to separate. I had to find my space in the house, upstairs, wherever it was, in the yard, just so I can have my own space. And that was crucial to me making it through the pandemic on the other side. It was definitely crucial.
I agree, wonderful, because what you just explained, Dr. Rene, is so critical to our survival. Because when you have a partner, when you have a mate, and we understand each other and we know each other's value, and even though I don't value what you value, but I can create a support system for you to live your values, and in return you do the same for me. And this is where the juiciness is coming from. Instead of me bashing you or criticize you for what you do, because we are two unique human beings, we can never be the same. If we were to be the same, one of us would not be necessary on this planet.
Oh, and it seems like you a fly on my wall in my house, because this is the conversation all the time. Like, we've been together 22. It's been 22 years. We are just getting to the point where, because I've had to demand it. Like, this is my space. This is
Yeah.
what I need.
Hmm?
This is what, but I've had to get clear on it first, so then I could convey it. Because before, I'm like, okay, yeah, I love you. You love me. That's it. Let's do this thing, right? But that is just not enough. It's
No.
not enough. It does not sustain you. It's just not enough. So you're
Yeah,
right.
I'm going to expand on that, Dr. Willie, and everyone else, because this is so important, guys. So important. Because I see couples, I see people in a relationship, they got so much going on, falling apart. And yet, what is needed is for each other to respect They are the one space, just like you say, Dr. Rennie. And when you're in your space, when you're really being the true essence, when you're in the zone, when you're flowing, you get more intimate. You love your husband even more. Why? Because you embrace the trueness. You are back home. So now you can give him the whole enchilada, the whole thing. So in return, he will do the same. But if he trying to prevent you, if he is in your space all the time, he doesn't allow you, he doesn't give you permission to be the true essence of who you are. So in return, the deficit is for him, not for you.
But look,
Renee's like,
baby
woo.
steps though, baby steps, because
Yes.
yeah, you don't get even though you married, I can't, because it's just like I'm still trying to find out what it is that I actually what I need, and then what I feel like it's a good way to start though. It's definitely a good way.
Yes.
Yes. I was listening to Evelt and I was thinking, in that scenario, how important it is. Like Dr. Renee, like you said, when you know yourself, right? And when each person in the relationship has their own life that's good and not relying on the other person to make life sweeter. It's like,
Mhm.
I love me, I love who I am, you love you, you love who you are. And then when we come together, we make something beautiful, as opposed to, I need you in my life to feel good about me, or
Mhm.
you need me to feel good about yourself, where it's this weird kind of dependence. So having two whole people come together and make that juicy love that Evelt talks about, right? So it's exciting.
Victoria's like, oh, that juicy love. But again, don't forget we're competing with expectation, external expectation, and then defining our own. I mean, it took you 22 years, like in your personal relationship. You've been teaching for as long as you've been in your relationship, right? And you see how long it took for you to even get to that point to say it, not just simply assume the person is gonna know. They're gonna read your mind after all these years for you to be able to ask for it. At this
No,
point, you said
I
demand
expect
it.
you to
I
listen,
demand it.
Marie. Salon, I need to have it a little bit faster, okay? I need to go a little bit faster. That's too long.
You don't have. You're like, I'm out of it. Even I haven't heard from you. Anything you want to add in terms of what you've heard from others? We're gonna be wrapping up in a few minutes.
Well, I would say personally, because beginning 2020, 20, then all going all the way to 2021, the number one news that I've been hearing is people dying, people get hospitalized and cannot breathe and life support. And I think because of that, that got me closer to family, checking on my mother more often, and checking on my brothers and checking on my nephews that I don't call very much, just making sure that they're okay. So I think I can say that's a positive side. And professionally, I would say I've seen positive things too. I mean, if I were counting on meeting people at Starbucks, I would not have met the amount of people that I met in the last year and a half. And because of the pandemic, people connect more virtually, and and I find myself connecting, building more relationships with people that I would have never met in person. And I think also these are the very positive uh, elements I would say about the pandemic. And there's so much negative about the pandemic. This is why I only focus on the positive.
Something good came out of it, but for us to almost be in, again, recognizing the intentional in terms of what that is, and I think it helped us sort of refocus in terms of what's the priority, because before everybody didn't have time, like Dr. Renee said, right? Even though you could be under the same roof, your family. I don't have time to make a phone call. I don't have time to text you and say how you doing. Or if I say how you doing, you just accept, oh, I'm okay. Like you don't really check and be like, seriously, like Victoria said, how are you? Like really like that human connection. Like I care. I really want to know how are things going. And you care just because, right? And I think the idea that it's important to connect as human being, but I think we're now also seeing how important it is to see each other, to hear each other's voices, and that goes to the values that Evelt is talking about. So if you're that person who just love being at home, love being together, that is the intimacy we're talking about, right? Not just like the other things. It's just like that togetherness, the idea of feeling good when you just together doing nothing, or when you just together doing things that you both enjoy, one person enjoy, but really thinking about what is that, and for you to be able to know this is the space, this is the energy that I need, and for you to say I want more of that. So if it's happening, say more of it, but then I think it become more clear in terms of what's important to you, but what's important to you, and together what's important to you together. That's the other part, collectively, to be able to like say what do we want, because at some point it has to be we and us versus like I, but you must respect I within the relationship. I'm hoping I'm getting that correctly, Coach Evelt.
Yeah, yes, you are. So, do we have? Because I know there may be questions in
There
the
are
panel.
questions. I think
Yeah.
we may have to take one. I don't know which one. I'm liking number 10, Victoria, for you. Do you want to ask 10?
I don't know what it is.
Number 10. We're just saying
I'm like,
numbers.
what's 10? Let's see. The ladies had so many different
There were a lot of
questions.
questions. There were a lot of questions.
So let's see what 10 was.
As you're looking,
Okay,
Judith,
let's
I know
see.
Judith had I think I had yours. Did you want to share your tip as we wait for Victoria, Judith? Can you hear? I feel like you might be frozen.
Yes.
I can do it. Equally.
Wait. Am I? Can I talk now? Or my
You can go
tip
ahead
would
and I'll go
be
after you.
okay. Okay. My tip would be to continue to work on your self improvement. Take advantage of the time. If you whether you're busy or not, but just take a little bit of time to do self care to um, work on your goals, your dreams, um, before the world completely opens back up. It's especially important now since we know how precious and short life is. So use it wisely and be happy. So
Thank you, Judith.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Coach Yvette, I had a question. During this time that I'm not in a relationship, what can I do to prepare myself for Mr. Right? Now that I've gotten rid of Mr. Right now, I want to be ready for Mr. Right when he comes. How can I prepare myself so he recognizes me when he comes?
Okay. Well, the answer is in the question. What do you do while you're waiting for Mr. Right? Get right. Because well, that's as simple as that. Because I heard that many times. It's become a cliche when people say, "Well, I'm waiting for Mr. Right" or "I'm waiting for Mrs. Right." Okay, how you gonna meet Mr. Right if you're not being right yourself? Because in life, period, and I said period, in life, you don't get what you want, you don't get what you need. You attract what and who you are. So that's really how we go about it. You want to get Mr. Right, number one, be right with self. You want to meet your soulmate, meet your soul first. Once you meet your soul and your soulmate is on the way, it may be right around the corner, next block or next town over to you. But since you can meet your soul, you are so far away from home. you don't create no space for Mr. Right to show up. So we have to get to a point we have to come home. I don't know if that's help.
Woo, Victoria. Are you ready to get right?
I'm ready. I like how he did the hands.
Evelt,
I'm
this is
going
what
to
you
get
just did right
right,
here.
and then I'm going to attract.
This is what you just did.
Oh my. You wish it was a magic wand, but unfortunately, it's not a magic wand.
No, it's mic drop.
Yeah, he just drop the mic. Him down. I hope that was helpful. And I know there are many. The thing is, we want to do this on a monthly basis and have the questions, keep the questions coming because we may just do ask Evelt and ask Coach Evelt, and you'll be able to get those answers. But invite those friends who have those questions because I think it's important for us to share those stories in terms of how we creating those new relationships. I know there were questions about where are we looking, and Judith also was sharing about how we can be safe as we are looking, even though we are being virtually social right now, right? And at some point we may go out again, but keeping that in mind. And then, I know Victoria talked about not forcing the fit. So if you're in a situation, just because you're looking, sometimes you're forcing things because you just feel like you got to have somebody right there, kind of thing. So we shared tons, and I'm sure we could have gone on forever. I'm gonna give our coach final word for those who are listening and watching in terms of, what is that one thing we can do. Victoria asked as we're preparing, but for those who are just like, I don't know if there's any hope at this point, right? What can we do without feeling anxious and
Okay.
hopeless?
Okay. Well, here's what I would recommend. Even now we wear mask, a physical mask, but for a long time we've been wearing an invisible mask. So it's time to drop the mask. The physical mask we may keep, but the invisible one that we had to let it go. So meaning that we have to be true to who we are. We have to become conscious of our own state of mind. And here's the key right here. Do the things you would normally do. If you love the park, still go to the park. If you love to go, whatever you do on your normal life, the things that you love to do that. And guess what? This is probably where you're gonna meet someone that gonna possibly you want to share your life with. Because let's say that you are vaccinated. So you go places where people get vaccinated. And you're probably going to meet someone that really going to the same rhythm. So just do your normal things. Live your normal life the way you would live it without really strain yourself. Don't say, well, I never been to a bar. Now I'm going to go to a bar. Guess what may happen? You may go to a bar and you meet someone. And that person is a frequent flyer, right? He got a lot of miles. But you never been to a bar. But you go to the bar just to meet that person. And you might meet that person. But guess what? If you go into a relationship and later on, you say, oh, wow, it's a good thing I went to a bar, I catch a fish. Okay. But after we get together, possibly under the same roof, he or she keep going to the bar. And now you start getting mad when he come home drunk, right? And that's going to create a problem. And you know what happened? Because you never used to go to a bar. You just go to a bar to meet someone. But that person's lifestyle, and you say, oh, maybe I make him quick drinking. Not likely. So live your normal life. If you would go to church, wherever you would go, keep doing that. And keep in mind that you are ready. And practice number one. And Dr. They're going to agree with me on that. Number one, love yourself first. That's the key right there. If you don't love, ain't no way you're going to find somebody to love you. And that doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, don't look for someone to love you. Look for someone to share the love that you're so full of. You want to share that with someone. This is when it's going to happen. Sometimes people say, oh, you are full of yourself. Yes, you need to be full of yourself to a point you want to share yourself with someone. This is when it's going to happen.
I want to add something to what Evelt just said when it says love yourself. And what I wanted to add is be yourself. Not just love yourself, also be yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You were created Evil because your creator wanted you to be evil. If he
Yeah,
wanted you to be Evnel, you would have been Evnel.
of
And
course.
if if God didn't want Marie to be Marie, he would have made her Jessica. But she is
Yeah,
Marie. This is exactly who God intended her to be. So, in terms of relationship, if you like fried chicken, don't pretend to go to the salad bar and pretend you don't eat fried chicken. Don't do that because
no,
what's gonna happen when you meet that person and now 2 weeks later then you start ordering DoorDash fried chicken. Oh my goodness, I'm so disappointed now. I thought you were a light eater. Look at you
e-
now. What happened?
different
So
vibe.
disappointment. So
Yep.
when you have to be who you are and don't be someone else because everyone else is taken. Just be
Yeah.
you. Be
Exactly.
you and do you boo boo.
Hmm. Yeah, because he's and that is
We're
so
dropping all the mics.
because we do things sometimes to look like somebody else or to imitate someone else. This is the worst thing we can ever do. I would rather be the original Evel than to be a second LeBron James or a second Jay Z. Why? I'll be a fake. So me, I'm original. I'm number one. Because from me trying to be somebody else, and that's why the cosmetic industry is making like billions of dollars on us, billions of billions to try to be somebody else. Be yourself, like Ibn say, and love yourself. Practice that, and I tell you, you will see that when you go places, people want to they catch up with your energy just because you true to yourself. You are home. We're not home, so when we're not home, nobody can find us because we're not where we're supposed to be.
All right. I hope the message is clear. It's
Yes.
very clear. Just be you. And I would think you will simply attract who you're looking for and who's looking
Yeah.
for you, you
Yep.
know, and it doesn't have to be this struggle, right? And so I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Definitely share with your friends and colleagues who have more questions. And, I want to thank Coach Evelt. Victoria has been asking for this day. Many of you have been asking for this day, watching and listening. Dr. Renee, Judith, Evenair, you made this day possible. And this is just the beginning of truly ensuring that others are learning that everything rises and falls on relationships. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, everyone.